Hello, my name is Rishith Balaji. This is going to be my speech 3. As you can see, this is my outline. It has been attached below in my outline notes. Before getting started, I would like to make a quick note. The topic of this speech is very decisive. It is going over the current conflict/genocide that is happening in Palestine to Palestinians from the Israeli. This speech does not condone in any way, shape, or form any form of anti-Semitism, nor will it allow people to be anti-Semitic. If people are being anti-Semitic, please do not engage with this post, do better, and please think about your actions and how they affect other people. This speech will begin at exactly 1 minute into this video. My speech is going to be over the current Israel, Gaza, Palestine. Let's paint a picture in your head. You're a small child, roughly aged 4 to 5. You wake up one morning to a rumble. The next thing you know, your street and every street around you within 3 blocks has been turned into a pile of ash and dust. Everyone you know, everyone you cared about, and everyone you were friends with has been turned into a corpse. This is not a nightmare scenario. This is a daily occurrence and has been a daily occurrence since October of 2023 for Palestinian children throughout the Gaza Strip. Let's begin with the problem. The current problem and the current issue I'm trying to convince you about is the current conflict happening in Israel, in Palestine with Israel. And my honest opinion is that the conflict needs to end and Israelis need to stop committing genocidal acts of terror. So one of the big issues is that humanitarian aid one of the big issues with what is currently happening inside of Palestine is the humanitarian aid is not getting through. UN, other Human Rights Watch are not able to actually get in and help the people who have been stuck in these dangerous situations for years now. These situations have led to most recently a UN report citing that most of Gaza is in the final stage of famine. This stage of famine being described as stage 5. Stage 5 famine means that even if normal food was to be allowed into the Gaza Strip, the Palestinians and the civilians would never be able to fully recover. They would have permanent damage. This is one of the crises that has been affecting Palestinians for the past 2 years. Due to the extreme strict regulations and essentially supply routes being shut down by Israelis, there's no longer a way for Palestinians to get food. The first thing that needs to change is this immediately needs to be stopped. Aid centers need to stop being attacked by Israelis, and they need to be allowed to fully fulfill their jobs and provide humanitarian aid. Now, another big issue is the indiscriminate carpet bombing and blanket civilian fire that is happening and undergoing in relations to Palestinians. When you take a side-by-side look at 2022 Rafah City and 2025 Rafah City, over 85% of buildings have been completely demolished. The land is virtually unrecognizable. It has been turned into what many people call a parking lot. The area has been flattened due to extreme amounts of explosions and stress. The overall death toll is incalculable, with the lowest numbers citing over 50 to 60,000 deaths at the lowest end. The high end of these numbers, the number the UN believes of people who have been disappeared, is well into 600,000 to even more. All of these people have been displaced, have lost their homes, and have had their human rights violated. Their Geneva Conventions specifically do not allow for these actions, and they have been violated. Now, how can we actually stop this conflict? First, there must be an immediate and complete ceasefire between all of the IDF and all of the Palestinian Hamas members. All ceasefires must be followed. There can be no violation on either side. The second thing that needs to happen is something that should have happened before the conflict even started. All the hostages on both sides, both IDF and Hamas, must be relieved. They both must relieve all of the hostages. In doing so, they will have no reason to be in conflict with each other. Third, most importantly, is the IDF and the Palestinians must separate and create their own borders in the state of Palestine so that the Israelis clearly have an area and the remaining Palestinians have another area. They must not have their rights violated. They must have access to free and proper education. They must have access to fair elections. Now, the issue with what I've described is that right now there's such a large death toll and such a big crisis that is being sidewaved due to the fact that many of these people are Muslims, are Arabs. There's a huge problem in this country and in other countries in Europe and the worldwide where the genocide that is happening is being hand-waved because these people are Muslim. I think that is wrong. I think the death of any human being is wrong. And I think it's a very big call to arms in that when you see every day on the news, you see articles of innocent people being killed, being tortured, and being hunted for something they can't even control, that's a sign that things need to change. Now, I think the biggest thing you can do, each and everyone listening and taking notes along the side of this video, the most important thing you can do is talk to your representatives. Call them, let them know what you actually think. Your voice matters most importantly. Silence cannot be afforded anymore, not after all of the atrocities that have happened on both sides. I think the biggest issue is that at the end of this conflict, there may never be a Palestine again. There may never be Palestinians again. We've lost a huge culture. A huge culture has been wiped out. And unfortunately, I don't think they'll ever be able to recover. And that's something that I think is terrifying. And I think it's never okay to let this happen again.